Okay, now this one is gonna be a fun little challenge. To be honest, this AutoFS stuff is maybe the most difficult part of the exam, along with some of the Podman stuff. I would put it in the first place as being the most difficult. If you have trouble managing the time during the exam, I would recommend skip this one. This one is a bit annoying and takes more time because you need more commands. And actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit more tricky even, but it's fun because we are going to do it both client side and server side. So yeah, I would recommend, if you really want to pass the exam quickly, you can skip this video, skip that question during the exam, and do the rest. Then you'll be good to go because you will still have enough points, and that's fine. But I think this is cool to know. This AutoFS allows to mount automatically some directory that you specified on the server when you demand it. So basically the thing is waiting for you to access it, and once you access it with something, with the right user, with the right permissions, then it will mount it automatically, which is pretty cool. But it's a bit tricky. So here in the question, usually, basically, during the exam, just to make it a bit clearer, during the exam you will only be asked to do this from the client side, if I remember. So it's not as complicated, but it's nice to do it also on the server side and to do the whole path, because then you realize how the thing works. So we will start with the server. First of all, I want you to check the IPs. So just make sure I'm using IP color for -C and A for all. And I get all the IPs, so just make sure you have these IPs. If not, then you need to change accordingly here, which is okay also. I don't mind you doing it with different IPs, but just know that we are using for the server the IP 172.16.1 and 13, and for the client it's the 12. So you need to be aware of that. Then we will need on both sides the netuserX. Make sure this user is the same on both sides with the same, I think it's sensitive to the group ID as well. If, for instance, this netuserX is not on the same group ID on both sides, server and client, it might bug and it won't work. So it's important to think about this. But let's start. So basically we'll start server side because we want the server to be ready. Remember that in the exam this will be already in place. So what I do, okay, I wrote here the whole thing, but you don't need to remember that. Look how I'm doing it. You can also use a yum because it's the same. Yum or a DNF is the same because it all goes back to yum. And you can just do NFS and then you star, and then you do Y for accept, yes. And you do that, and basically, oh yeah, I forgot, install. You need to install the stuff, so yeah. And you can put dy also before, it's also okay, it doesn't matter. It's gonna work. So basically it will install a bunch of things that are related to this NFS. And like this you're sure that the right package is installed. For the case of the exam, that way you don't need to do what you could do. Of course, you could do DNF search and then NFS, and then you will see all the packages that contain NFS. But doing like this, you just get the good NFS stuff that works. Now, let's start with the rest. So, we will want to make a home guest netuserX directory that we will use as our auto mount. So we create that, that's good. Then we create a user. I'm copy pasting from here, but yeah, we could also do it by user add, and then M for having a home directory, which we then specify here with the directory. So we will give it here. Okay, I will type this part still because it's a bit too much. And then you define the username. If I do this, this should work. But, yeah, so it basically says it already exists. So if I do ID netuserX, actually I didn't need to make that thing because it's already there. So if I go, you see it has the ID 1001, 1001, 1001. So it should be the same. If we won't be able to have this on here because I think there are other users on the client that already have this group ID, so we will need to change the group ID here later on. That's a bit of the tricky part, I think. But let's have a look at the home directory, or I can just do an lsl and /home, and then we'll see what's there. And it's all root, you see. So we want to change that, actually. We want to change that. That's not good, unless the guest, cd guests, yeah, what? Yeah, because I'm not there, okay. cd home, and guests, and ls, and netuser lsl, and you see it's root all the way. So we may want to change that to change the ownership of that stuff. So we will, yeah, I didn't put that actually. Okay, shown, and I will set netuserX and netuserX, and I will call what's there. This is the guests, and I will also put that stuff to say something, anything in there will be also netuser. So if I do lsl, now I see that the guests is, oh yeah, by the way, the -r, big R is recursive, stands for recursive, so it means everything in there will be having the same permissions now, which is the case. You see, if I do ls-hell, it shows you nicely that it's having the right ownership. So that part is okay. Now we want to change the password for netuserX, so we do that, and then we can just copy and paste. And if you did the SSH stuff, then you can copy paste easily, which is good. It's always a good practice to copy paste, because otherwise you can make mistake while typing. Once you have this, you want oh yeah, by the way, I didn't specify that we need to install AutoFS. Oh yeah, but not on the server side. Server side, we basically need the NFS. We'll have the mount ready, and then we will mount it with AutoFS on the client. Okay, so then we want we want to go in etc exports. That's for the NFS part. So you won't need, I think, during the exam to basically, oh yeah, actually exports, we need to do a vim etc export, and there we need to set this line. We need to set this line, zoop. Basically what we are saying in this will be the mount, this thing, home guests netuserX, this will be our NFS mount, and it's basically here on the client. So the client will be accepted to connect, and it will have read and write, and it will have synced, and this no root, I forgot what it is, but you need to have it. I think you can find it also in the man page of NFS, so in case you forget. And anyway, you don't need that for the exam, but it's just for your instruction what we're doing here. Then we are going to add this to the firewall, because otherwise it's not going to work. I think it should work with just that, but yeah, let's just try with this, and we need a firewall reload. I think that should do it. I don't know, I put this as like a matter of being a bit overcautious. We'll try like this, I think it can work. And then we can do this enable thingy. We'll basically say we start we start the NFS server, and we also enable it, meaning on reboot it will be restarted as well, which is important for the exam. Also, don't forget, if you do some firewall stuff, always the -- permanent, because otherwise after reboot it won't be there. So now if we do, for instance, systemctl status NFS server, you'll see that it is both enabled and active, which is good for both things. Now, if you do this, you need to do export fs with the following things. And you're exporting this. Now if you do a mount, then you should see, probably, you should see that mount. Wait a second. If I do grep for netuser, nothing. Okay, well, then it's not there. It will be mounted on demand, I guess. So anyway, that's the part for the server side. Also, if you check SSS toolpan, you should see here that we are having something with NFS, and that should be, we have RPC bind, which is here. So maybe we do need RPC bind still for the firewall. I think that's possible actually. The RPC mount is also started. You know what, let's just do it. Let's just do those extra steps. Up. We'll copy paste that stuff. For the exam, I suggest you practice by, if you want to do that part as well, it's also good. You can do it just by, I will just change this bit. You can do it by heart. It's pretty good to work on this and know how to do this. And also with the reload here. And then we have reloaded the stuff and it's good. And I will even restart NFS server just to be sure. Which is good. Good practice here. And now on the client, let's go on the client and we'll see if that's gonna work. I'm not sure. I'm trying this. I haven't done this for a while. I did that for my preparation, my own preparation for the exam. Now, we need AutoFS and NFS util. So I suggest on the client side, you just do dnf install AutoFS. That's definitely, and you can put the star because sometimes you need also more stuff, so it's good. And you do also the star stuff. So basically you install every package. You don't care. Better is better. Better is more. It's better to have more for the exam. So now, oh yeah, okay. That's because we have, that's because we installed those fake repos. Okay, let's go. I mean, okay, I'm laughing. It's not good because I did this, but basically we are having here those fake repos that I installed just for the sake of having the repos. In the exam you will have real repositories which we will be able to use. In our case we just installed fake repos, so basically I will just remove this local repo, and yes, I want to remove it and it's not there anymore and it's good. And then if I do a DNF repo list, I think, then it should be gone. Yeah, exactly. So we're good. So we could do also a DNF clear and so on, clean, whatever. I think this should be good enough. So now if I do again the DNF install, it should not bother us anymore, and we're good. In the exam you won't have that problem because you will have a working set of repos. You will have the right links and this will be all fine. In our case we are just testing, so we don't care. Okay, now we need to add the netuserX, user add netuserX. So we add the user. It should also create the home directory, but that's fine. And then we change the password, and also for netuserX. And we had for password, it was, what did we say? Choubidou, I think. Where was it? Password netuserX. Oh yeah, I wanted to say password choubidou. Oh yeah, okay, this is the command line, sorry. This is the command line and should be, let's say, I will write like this. Choubidou is the password. Okay, and here I'll type choubidou and choubidou. And we're all good. Very good. Now the problem is, if I do netuserX, then it's GID, you see, UID is 1004 and GID is 1005. So we need to change that. So let's do it here actually. You have the command user mod, I think, and then, okay, you won't need to do that again for the exam. This is some extra steps that I'm adding because it's cool and I think it's good to learn. Okay, and then user mod, and you want to change the UID. So I think if you do, I think you can do UID, but let's check the help. And you will see you have U, yeah. So UID, you can type -- UID. And for the GID, I think you need to, yeah. This is for the primary group, but I will need to change it as well. Yeah, I'll need to change it. Okay, let's first change the UID, and then we specify that it is supposed to be 1004 and netuserX. Now, okay, how do I change the GID of Okay, I will search that in the meantime, and I will continue. So here we have now the right UID, but not the right GID. So we need to change the how do I change group mod? Can I do a group mod? I think so, no? Yeah, look at that. So I will basically do a group mod for... I'm doing it as I'm talking with you, basically. And then you can type GID, and you want to set it as being 1005 for netuserX. Am I correct? Yeah, 9005, yeah, that's correct. For netuserX. And if we do this, now if we do ID netuserX, I think we should have the right UID and the right GID, which is important for, it should match when we want to connect with AutoFS to the mount, to the NFS mount on the server. So now that we are there, we're going back to this, and here we have, so we set this, so now we need to go, we installed the stuff, so which is good. We installed both things, so this is fine. Now we need to go, we have to do two things with AutoFS, and that's the tricky part. That part you need to remember on the client side for the exam. This is important. So basically important for the exam. You do the DNF AutoFS NF util, so you can do AutoFS and NFS star, that's fine. And then you add the user, and then you give it the right password. And then you need to do some stuff within that directory. So cd etc auto.master, and then actually you can do in cd etc, and then you do lslan, and then you will see there is something with, you're looking for the AutoFS stuff, right? So you see that there is AutoFS conf and AutoFS master. So you want to add that stuff in the AutoFS master.d. You could also add it in the auto.master file, but I think it's better practice to add it in the auto.master directory. If you do, look, if you do like this and do grep AutoFS, then you will see what's there. So it's easy to remember, it's in the etc directory, and then you will find the right stuff with this. And then, why didn't it show? It show the, it doesn't show the directory if I do like this. Okay. If I do like this, it doesn't show anything. Okay. Interesting. Why doesn't it show it? Because it should be there. If I do like this, I see this. I see this directory. Auto. Because it's called auto.master. So auto.master, not necessarily AutoFS. So just type auto. Okay. That's why I was wondering why I don't see it. So if you do just lan and then auto, and then you see that you have all these, you have this directory, and the rest is configuration files, basically. So you want to edit this one first in the auto.master.d. If it's not there, you will create it. So cd auto.master.d and then ls. There is nothing in there, even no hidden files, nothing. So you will want to create that one, netdir, and you will want to call it autofs. If you check the others, you see they are all called a bit like this. So you will create that file, and then you want to say the username, okay, and then netuserX, that's the name of your user, will have read and write permissions. Then you will set the address, basically the IP, and it's the same notation that you have in SSH, for instance, the 2 dots, and then you have the regular path from there. So basically that's it. And when you have that, so you need to save it. And then when you have this, you also need, oh yeah, in CMRTD, you also need to have, no, actually I did it completely wrong. Look, I did it very wrong. Yeah, so that's correct, but then we need to have also this stuff. This is the tricky part. You see, I'm also confused because you need different things. Actually, that part you could also put in the auto.master file. This is the part you could also put in the auto.master file. You can test around with it. There are different ways of doing it, but in this case, we need to have this. Right. No, I'm mixing around. So look, Alice, you have this one. This one should actually be not there, but in the etc directory. So I will actually move it. I'll move this one and I will put it in the etc directory because that's where it belongs basically, except it should be named differently. It should be named auto.netdir, exactly. What did I do? Okay, yeah, sure. What am I doing, man? I'm getting tired, I think. Okay, I will move it there and then I will rename it into the auto.netdir file. And if I do cat and check this one, that's where I have my stuff. Yeah, exactly. I was very confused. Sorry. So this one needs this content. And the one that's important, because this one is the end file, so to say, the one that's important because it refers to it is the master one. This is where we say what's gonna happen. And that's in the directory where we were just now. So if I do now, there's nothing. So now we need to say exactly what I wanted to do before. I don't know why I mixed up all the stuff, but it's easy. See, it's easy to mix up. So here you will need to put that stuff. Basically, the netdir directory will be like the source, and this one will be where you have the explanation what you're doing. And so now we need, like, this is the destination actually where it will be mounted, and this is where you have the configuration for that mount. Sorry, so this is a bit more clear like this, I hope. So based on that, I think now it should work. So if we do now a system enable, so system control enable -- now autofs, so basically it will enable and start autofs. So that should work. And now let's see if it works. And netdir and netuserX, and it did something. So now if we do a mount and rep netuser, and there it is, look at that. It's mounted. So it worked. So basically mount will list all the mount, and then I do a grep for netuser and I see that it's mounted. So basically we did the right stuff. We didn't need C-Linux, but I think we needed those firewall commands on the server side. So basically on the client side, which is the important part you need to remember for the exam, the server side is a bit, let's say, optional, and it's cool to do. I would suggest you do it as well. But basically, we need to install AutoFS and NFS utils. You can use, okay, I'll write like this. You can use NFS star, for instance, it's easier. And you need to add the user. You give the password to the user. Then you need to create this file in this specific directory, which is, so you search in etc for auto, and you will find this directory. You put it there. In this directory you say the mount where it should be, and which you find in the end here, you know, that's the one. And there you also say where is the config file for that mount located, and then you define the config file for that mount, that AutoFS mount, it will be there, and then you enable AutoFS. So you need to remember all that stuff. It's not too bad. It's like basically, okay, for that part, which is just installing stuff and then adding the user and the password, let's not count that. But once you have AutoFS installed with NFS, then you basically need just this. So you need to know the right spot where to put your mount and the specific directory where you have the configuration file, and then you put the configuration file. You could also add it to master. So if I do if I go back and I check the auto.master, I think it's also .master. It's basically a file, and then in this file, you see, basically it will tell you that it includes the stuff that is in the directory. So that's how you know. And it even tells you what to do, you see. You could also put it in MISC or whatever. If this would also work, it explains to you how to do it. So you can also use that. If you go in the main page of AutoFS, you also get more information, which is also cool. You can also check autofs.conf. You can check autofs.master in the main page. So you can get a bunch of information from everywhere, and then with that you should be good to go. Might be a bit tricky. This one, as I said, it's one of the most challenging because it's not something you usually do. I didn't do it. I'm a sysadmin for a long time already, from quite some time, and yet I've never done this before with the AutoFS. This is something cool though. It's a little bit challenging. Again, if you're suffering with time for the exam in your exam prep, then skip that question, go back to the end. You don't need to solve it to solve the rest of the questions. But it's definitely a cool little challenge. I didn't have problem with it during the exam because if you just learn those commands, like basically this, then you're good to go. The server side is cool, especially because you learn the firewall command stuff. And the firewall command is important. Does it come often in the exam? I forgot if I really needed to do anything with firewall command in the exam, but I think it's a must now. Like for the Red Hat stuff, you should know the firewall commands and the Linux commands a little bit, at least this kind of stuff for the exam, I would say. And especially that you need to use the firewall command -- permanent to make it permanent upon reboot, and to know how to find the services. Like you need to check, you can check them in ss-tulpen as root, and then you will see them displayed, and then you basically allow them. You can get a list, I think, by doing the firewall command list, but I won't go too deep into all this. Basically, you don't need the server-side stuff, it's just more fun, and I wanted you to see it, and basically it works, and proof of that is when you do the mount grep netuser, because it appears here, so that tells you that it worked, and yeah, that's how it's done. Also, you see the IP addresses, client address, which is really our client, and here you have the server address, so it's really everything working fine. That means the client connects to the server and everybody's happy. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Maybe I talk too much, maybe I tell too much, but I hope you have enough insights for this. And also it's good if you see me doing some mistakes because, well, you learn from those mistakes maybe as well. I think I learned a lot from my mistakes, so yeah, that's how you should feel also during the exam. Don't worry if you do some mistake. Normally the time, if you prepare with me with those videos, normally you will have a lot of time at the end. I had like almost an hour at the end, and I spent honestly, and in the end, this 1 hour left I had, I spent half an hour just trying to solve this one question that was kind of making me a problem. So I had just one question where I failed the exam. The rest was almost 100%. So yeah, and I hope by the end of this course I will find how I should solve this one question I had trouble with, actually. Okay, have a good day or whatever, and well, hope to see you in the next lesson.